Hello, welcome once again to Lehto's Law. I'm Steve Lehto. You might not recognize me, dressed as I am, but I have to tell you, I spoke to a group of people today in Kalamazoo, legal secretaries, and they introduced me as an attorney, so I felt I had to put on the uniform. And so, yeah, I do actually own ties. I wear them on occasion, but, I try not to wear them if I don't have to. So often I do my videos wearing t-shirts and so on. And that was also the conclusion I came to after doing a huge amount of market research. That is, looking at the comments to the videos when I didn't wear a suit and a tie, people said, you know something, you look less threatening when you're not dressed like an attorney. So, I'm not trying to scare anybody, but I had the suit and a tie on. I'm walking by and I thought, I should sit down and have a little talk. So here's the thing. This is not going to be a typical discussion on constitutional law, but I do have to point something out. I've done some videos on constitutional law, and I've talked about the Supreme Court a couple times, the rulings made by the Supreme Court. And for some odd reason, people seem to think that because I say something is the law, that I agree with it. And the thing is that as an attorney, my job is not to have opinions on the law and then explain to you what my opinions are. It's actually my job is to tell you what the law is. And so if I say that this is good case law, now it's true, I might tell you I disagree with this. I've done that a couple times, I think. But generally speaking, I simply say, no, this is the law. So when I did a video where I explained that the U.S. Supreme Court has said a police officer does not have to tell you at the side of the road why he's investigating you, or if in fact he's actually investigating you at all. Doesn't have to tell you. And I've had people say, well, Steve, that's wrong. Well, it might be that you disagree with it, but the Supreme Court did say it. So you need to know that they said it so that when you're at the side of the road and the cops walk up and start asking you questions, you don't get to go, I'm not going to help you until you tell me why I'm being investigated. They don't have to tell you that. And now, again, you might disagree with that Supreme Court ruling, but it's there, okay? And so it's kind of like saying, I don't agree with gravity, okay? I might not like gravity. If I fell out of an airplane, I'd hate gravity. But gravity is there. And so whether you like it or not, whether you understand it or not, you should understand how it works. So if you have something very, very valuable in your hands, you should be careful because if you let go of it, gravity might do something nasty to it, okay? Don't blame me, blame gravity, okay? So the interesting thing that I've discovered is, and don't get me wrong, I put the address where you can mail me stuff at the end of every single video. And I do that for a reason. I want you, if you're so inclined, if you want to mail stuff, there's an address you can mail it to. I'm not asking for anything. But I've gotten some pretty cool things sent to me. In fact, I'm surprised at how many people have spotted this tiny little sticker here called, it says Believe in Music. And this is apparently a record store that's in Grand Rapids a few years ago. And I love record stores. They don't really exist the way they used to. But in the old days, I used to go to record stores and flip through the bins of the LPs. And so I've had several people spot that was sent to me. And what's funny is that was sent to me with a little note saying, hey, Steve, you like music? This is a cool record store in Grand Rapids back in the day. I put it there. I've had people go, oh my gosh, check it out. I believe in music, So I like that kind of stuff. And there's a few other oddball things I've thrown back here, including the Amateur Redneck Workshop mug. Hey, that's cool. I like it. I've got another mug. I keep meaning to bring it up, but it's not out here. But I'll get it out here. But one of the oddities that I have to tell you ties this all together is that people will send me stuff without a note. No note. No return address. Nothing on it. Just a box. And so something will show up or an envelope will show up. So somebody sent me a pamphlet. And the pamphlet is entitled Separation of Church and State, What the Founders Meant. Okay? And it's a pamphlet. And what's interesting, it's a used pamphlet. Now, I'm not saying that I can't read a pamphlet that's been read by somebody else, but somebody's highlighted it. And apparently I don't know if they highlighted things that they want me to look at, or if this is highlighting they had done when they themselves read it, or if they'd simply bought this used and mailed me a used pamphlet. I don't know, because there's nothing accompanying it saying, hey, Steve, you should read this pamphlet. I think it would be interesting for you, or I think you should talk about this concept. Nothing. Now, the weird thing is, I've also gotten a book. And the book, again, is about the Constitution. And the courts, the Constitution, and religion. And I thought there was a note in here that might be to me, but it was simply somebody bought this and said, ship it to Steve Lehto. And again, I generally, don't get me wrong, I like books. I actually like books. This book here cost somebody $12.95. Wow. Which is sad because I'm not going to read it. But the weird thing is that if you wanted to send me a book, and you might want to tell me why you think it would be interesting to me, because quite frankly, this book here is 534 pages thick. Now, you may have noticed from behind me, I've got a bunch of books. You'll have to trust me that there's another bookshelf over here, identical to this one, with just as many books, actually more books because they're piled up in different stacks. And then 2 more bookcases over there, and then I've got other bookcases around the house. So I like books. I read books. I enjoy books. I actually have a fetish for books. I write books. I publish books. Books. But the fact that somebody sends me a book with no note and just mails me a book, okay, did you think I should read it? Is this written by somebody you know? Is there something about this that you think I should know? Is there something I should focus on? Just send me a 500-page book. I got news for you. I'm not going to read it. So I don't know if this is a theme, but somebody sent me a box of DVDs. Constitution Alive, and this right here is A Citizen's Guide to the Constitution and an in-depth course on the original intent of the Constitution recorded live at Independence Hall, which makes, when you record something at Independence Hall, that makes it more true, I guess. And I don't know how much this box of DVDs cost. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 DVDs. Oh, I'm sorry, 5 DVDs in a class workbook. Okay, now this is still wrapped in plastic. So this is brand new. But the weird thing is, again, no note, no explanation. No, hey, Steve, I know this guy. Steve, I watched this guy's videos. Steve, I think this guy's right. Steve, hey, I'm curious. This guy and you apparently have different opinions. I don't know. I don't know. And the problem is that over 10 hours, as if that's something to brag about, I don't have 10 hours right now to spend watching DVDs to try to figure out why somebody might mail them to me. I don't know. If you're going to spend that kind of money on anything and give it to somebody, as a future reference, you might want to include a note. Just a note. When I was leaving today, after speaking to the wonderful people at the National Association of Legal Secretaries, they handed me a card and they handed me a certificate where they thanked me for speaking to them. And the card, I opened it up and it actually said, "Thank you very much for speaking to us." And it was signed by somebody. And it included a little gift. And I actually thought, that's nice. That's nice. The woman who handed it to me, I know who she was, but she signed it just in case. And so that makes sense to me. But when people send me a box of DVDs, a used 500-page book, or a used pamphlet, thank you, I guess, but it doesn't mean that much to me, because it would mean more to me if you sent me a note and said, "Hey, Steve, I was watching your video about this, and it made me think of this." Or, "I heard you say this, and I heard this guy say this, compare and contrast." I'm always looking for ideas to talk about, okay? But just sending stuff blindly unannounced through the mails, and yeah, I got the stuff. Not reading it, not watching the DVDs, and I kind of find it kind of disappointing to not even know who sent it to me, Generally unsolicited stuff through the mails. It's not good form, as we say. So I'm not complaining. I've had a lot of nice stuff sent to me, and I appreciate all of it. Okay, but I'm not going to read a 500-page book or watch 10 hours of DVDs to try to figure out why somebody sent me something anonymously. So sorry, I know it's a little bit off from what I usually talk about, but I had to mention it. And of course, I was wearing a tie, and I had to sit down and talk with you guys today. So I hope you enjoyed that, but otherwise we'll get back to the hard-hitting legal stuff next time. Otherwise, questions or comments, put them below. Address at the end of the video. Send anything you want, but please, please, at least insert a note, say hi, and sign it, because I know there's people out there, they got names. I just like to know who sends me the stuff, okay? Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later.